Good morning, everyone. It's Friday morning, and this is another unscheduled English update of the tracker and positions, just letting everyone know what's happening with these storms. First of all, I don't want to see this as being treated as sensationalising anything. The reality is we've got 11 sailors out there now sailing along, and everyone is interested in what's going on, so I'm going to give you some opinions and my best interpretation of the windy TY weather and how it looks. It's quite extreme in a couple of simple ways. So you've got John Luke all the way out the front here in really benign weather, and then you've got the middle fleet, Uku, Gregor, Tommy and Mark in the middle of this system which is forming up over the top of them. And then you've got the back end fleet here all starting to come under the influence of this quite substantial low pressure system here that's going to drift over the top of them over the next 2 days. The guys in the middle fleet will concentrate on that first, and I'll just zoom in on it. It's been really interesting. This windy TY graphic is set up at the moment. It's actually set for 6 o'clock. It's just moved. You'll see the screen capture I put on Facebook about 20 minutes ago. You'll see Gregor wasn't quite in the middle of this. It wasn't quite in this southerly flow here. He was actually in the middle. There was a completely different shape here, but it's developing very quickly. This whole system is formed up around the fleet. We advised them to get south as quick as they could, which they all basically did, and it's shepherded them from some of the worst of it while it's been forming, especially this little area here. You'll see that's a light blue. That means it's forecasting over 60 knots or around 60 knots. But remembering, when there's forecast winds of 55, 60 knots, it'll be gusting 70, 75 knots. So it's not the place to be up here. What you've got is, these guys now in the center of it. It's coming over them. Uku missed out on the worst of it. He got some heavy weather. I'd say it would have been in the 50s, and the sea is building. But if you hadn't noticed it late last night, there was a strong northwesterly flow here. Mark Slats really dipped south big time to get out of it, so that was a good move. He's managed to still not be affected. Remembering that this may not be completely correct. It's showing it all happening at this minute, but it could be an hour or so late or an hour or so early. You know, it's an indication. There's not a lot of floating buoys out in the Southern Ocean to give a really accurate computer image of the isobars and where the centers are and things like that. So there's a lot of computer generation, but generally it's pretty accurate. So what you're seeing here is actually happening. Now, the real nasty part about this is the sea state. You can see it's about, in fact, if I give you a scope on the size, if we put one icon there and another one over here, okay, so you've got 300 miles. It's about 300 miles through here, but you'll see in a minute how quick this system is moving. Over this side, you've got a northwesterly wind, then you've got a westerly wind, and then all of a sudden, bang, you've got a southerly wind. That sets up a horrific sea state because those wind changes are happening over about 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours, and it creates an incredibly confused sea. The only advantage, normally you would say that certainly in a northerly quadrant coming down here, the sea doesn't get a chance to build up. It's only when it comes from the south and the southwest over a long period of time that the sea gets really big. But this is really nasty. So it has the potential to make quite dangerous seas where you get cross seas and sudden wind shifts like that make it very demanding. So this is, I'll get rid of that. This is what we've got at the moment, but you'll see, and it's changing all the time. Like an hour ago, it was they were in a hole. You can look at that picture, the screenshot I put up previously. If we come, that's 6 o'clock UTC, so it's 6 the wind is 6 o'clock. Hang on, I'm getting mixed up here. So these position reports are for 4 o'clock, which is UTC, which is 6 o'clock French time. So they're a couple of hours old, but the wind is moving forward now. So the boats will have moved a little bit. This is a 600 UTC, so right now 8 o'clock France time. And if we just go forward just a few hours, I'll take it forward to midday. Hang on. So that's just 4 hours. Look how much it changes. That's just in 4 hours. That's how fast the system is moving. So, and down here where Mark is, you're just starting to, I don't know whether you can detect that, but you're just starting to see a new tone in here of the lighter blue. That's forecast winds of around 60 knots. So Mark will, he could be going to experience, 70 knots, 75. It's not unusual. I've been out, when I did this leg across here, I had 70 knots, 75 knots. It was hard to breathe on deck. You'd face away from it. The Venturi effect, just you really had to suck hard to breathe, So that's all going to be very dramatic for these guys. I'm quite confident they can cope. They've got great boats. They're all in good condition, so that's kind of cool. We're obviously, like everyone else, monitoring and watching. We go forward another 4 hours from 12 to 1600 there, and it's moving very quickly. So literally 8 hours, and most of it's going over. Mark's in there a little bit longer. It dies off quickly, so we come across. I'll go through to midnight now. So that's and you see it's dying down. So they've got about 20 hours of this passing over them when it's quite extreme. And even here you think, oh great, he's out of the blue. But that's like still 50 knots, 45, 50 knots gusting higher. So going to be very, very interesting to hear their stories. And we're obviously hoping they're all going to be quite fine going through. Let's look at the sea state now. Just for this one, we'll go to waves. I'll go back now to real time. You may have noticed yesterday when I did the update, I was saying it's also quick that the sea state may not have an effect. As it's turned out, this is such a powerful system, they're already suggesting that in here it's forecast to 9 metre seas. And when you bring it across, you come across here, the whole thing gets bigger and comes right across the top of them. So when they're saying 9 metres, that's as big as the scale goes. They don't have any bigger than 9 metres. And I would be confident in saying that they're going to get 12 metres, 13, maybe even 14 metre seas. It's a bit hard to predict, but this is a vicious storm. It's moving fast. It'll be even at 10 metres or 11 metres, it's going to be nasty shape. So they're going to have not much sleep in the next 20 hours or so, 24 hours. We've updated them. They're all comfortable. They've got the right information. I think they've all done really well, better than they would have been if we didn't give them the weather alert. They would have been up here somewhere. And, we'll just see how it pans out. The sea, we'll take it through to midnight tonight. It's all starting to leave as well. And literally, this time tomorrow, if we look at the sea state this time tomorrow, it's basically all leaving. They'll be a bit further along the way. You'll see Mark will get pushed up north again. That southerly will push them north. So they've probably got 36 hours of big swells and so on, and then it'll pass over. So yeah, those guys have certainly got a bit on their plate. Now coming back to the back end of the fleet, we'll come back to here and now. This is the weather at the moment. You can see they've all made progress north, and Susie's still out of it yet. It hasn't reached her. She's sailing along at she's becalmed 0.9 of a knot now. Tapio's making northing. He's doing 5.7 knots. He's just coming under the influence of it now. Istvan slowed down a bit because he had that knockdown yesterday. It knocked out his radio. He's lost his radio. He's lost one satellite phone. He's lost his VHF, probably the aerial on top of the mast. He's now even drying out his almanac. He must have got quite a bit of water down below, and then it's sloshed around. So we'll hear more about that as time goes by. But he's okay at the moment. He's sailing again. He's making 3 knots. Trying to get north because this system's going to come across straight from the west, so the higher they get, the less wind they'll get. Loic's probably getting quite a bit at the moment. He's making 6.7 knots, running with the wind on the port quarter, and he's at least he's up a bit, so they all know to go north. Igor's haven't mentioned this too much before, but he's having real problems with his hands. He's got issues there with sores and skin issues, and it's making it hard for him to manage the boat in the most efficient way. Apparently I was talking to his team manager yesterday, some emails and stuff, and he's saying, yeah, it's a bit of an issue. He's got, and what happens is the moisture gets absorbed into your skin gets soft, and then it gets very painful, and you can't pull ropes and so on. So that's one of the reasons Igor is tending to slow down a bit. He's got a long way to go, so hopefully he can sort that out. Anyway, Mark up here, he's across the Gullah Strait, and now he's going to miss this system. He's staying up above it. So let's go forward. That's 6 o'clock UTC, the weather at the moment on that one. We'll go forward to We'll go forward to 1800. So that's in 12 hours' time. You can see it's slowly moving across. Susie will come under the influence of a breeze. She'll get sailing, and if all goes well, she'll keep moving up in a northeasterly direction. It's coming through, but hopefully these guys are going to miss the worst of it. You can see here the blue, that's 55 knot forecast, so it'll be 60 knots. So that's 18 hours. This is a bigger system. We'll go through till 24 hours from now. 24 hours from now, it's gone through. So let's, and you can see they're all on the top edge of it. But if I come back, I'll come back a little bit, and we'll come back to about midnight. You can see Loic's going to get plenty of breeze, but they're right on the top edge. If I just make that a bit easier for you to see, you can see why I wanted to get them up north. If they had, Igor was down here somewhere, he would, and all of this would have gone through. Tapio and Isfahan, they would have been down here. These blues are big winds, right? So by being up north, it's going to skim hopefully underneath them, but they're going to be on the edge of it. We'll go and check out the waves. So this is at midnight tonight, and you can see this system, if we go back here, besides the fact that it's been big, we can't, now we've got an issue there. I'll see if I can hold this. This little bit of Africa is not meant to be there, but it's been coming for a long time, okay? And while it's been doing that, the seas are just following it. They're massive. So this is, I'll renew this because it's quite important. Hang on. I'll just reboot everything. Be back in 2 seconds, and we'll put windy on. We'll get back over here to the tail enders here. We'll look at the waves. Okay, so believe me, this colour here is as big as it goes on the scale. That means it's forecasting 9 metres. I'm feeling that these could be 15 metre seas here, and because they've been building for so long with a lot of wind, and it's going to come over the fleet. This is tonight. It's heading their way. So Igor's going to see the biggest seas he's seen for the entire trip, there's no question. And this is 24 hours from now. It's starting to influence the other boats. At this stage, if we look at the wind, this is 4 o'clock tomorrow morning, the winds, they're just, they're going to be influenced, but it's underneath them, so that's, better than being in the thick of it. We'll go through to midday tomorrow. That's close enough to midday. The winds are starting to leave, right? But you'll find the sea is not going to die down in a hurry because it just exists. It's been building, it's following it up. And in fact, these seas are going to go right over the top of them. You'll see it's moving over the top, even though the wind's dying down. And that can be quite challenging as well. When you have big seas and the wind drops off, all of a sudden they tend to roll over and curl. They don't have the wind flattening them down. So there's some tough times ahead for the fleet. Again, quite confident that they're really well prepared. All the boats are in good condition. Even with Istvan's knockdown, the rig is fine. He's a sailboat. It doesn't matter. He's messy down below. He needs to clean up his room. But what the heck, he's a safe sailboat, and Istvan's a fighter. Great sailor, so they're all looking good, and we'll just all watch what happens over the next couple of days. We're all thinking of them, so thanks for that, and we'll keep you updated. If you're French, Christophe will be doing a live on this sometime this morning, and don't forget we've got questions and answers and update again tomorrow morning. So we'll keep you updated on Facebook. Thanks a lot. See ya.